Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. This afternoon, I really like to talk about passion. And Glam's mission initially, always has been connecting premium brand advertisers with passionate audiences in the digital space. Who of you is actually familiar with Glam? Have you heard about it? Okay, maybe half. So just in a nutshell, what we are doing at Glam, we are a technology and media company, just shy of 500 employees, based out of Silicon Valley with offices across the US, Europe, and Asia to some extent. We focus on the vertical of lifestyle, content, and social. We also acquired a company called Ning at the end of last year, which is a social platform that enables creators to build their sites, their blogs, their communities, and embed, whatever is cool within their social sites. Just to give you an idea, on this platform, there are maybe approximately 100,000 or so creators. But before I really start, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. So, who of you reads blogs on a regular basis or visits niche or expert sites? Okay. And who of you actually also has an own blog or own site? Okay. And who's in the fashion industry in one way or another? Okay. Great. So I think we all share, some passion, for the subject here. Part of my speech this afternoon is really to introduce, bring closer to you what has happened over the last couple of years and why is the landscape the way the landscape is these days. So in the old days, we had a mass market. We had really high barriers for content creation because you had to, let's say, print it or distribute it, broadcast it. You had to go, via distribution channels, broadcasting companies. You were either big or you really couldn't do it. And therefore, it was also this concept of more or less, one fits all. And ultimately, the consumer was consuming media, but not really using it. What then has happened as, technology became available to create content and publish it easily, such as WordPress, Ning, or other programs, there are plenty. Everyone could become actually a publisher in one way or another. And there are many, many people who have a lot of knowledge about, their passionate fields. And actually, they did do publishing, and they are doing it. And every day, there are more and more sites out there. We also call it then democracy on the web, what has happened, because users do find those niche sites, those blogs, thanks to the search engines on the one hand side, Google, Yahoo, and others. And more lately, actually also social, which has become a real driver for traffic and, directing traffic into the fragmented world. At Glam, for instance, last Q3, it was the first time that we had more traffic coming into our Glam universe from actually social than from search engines. But search obviously doesn't go away and will always, facilitate the fragmented internet world and the distribution of traffic. Moreover, the users actually are not consumers only like in the old days. They are actually interacting, they are commenting, we like things on Facebook, we are forwarding things, we have our friends who then have their friends and forward, and it's like snowballing. And from I guess a controlling point of view, we sometimes really don't know exactly what's happening, with this content and how it's distributed and how many are actually reaching it. There are some companies now looking into this and monitor it, which is extremely helpful. Of course, everything these days is digital, it's mobile, it's instant, and it's also global. And I guess the future trend and what comes after fragmentation, is basically everything flows. And this is maybe, the state of the environment we have at the moment. And I think one important point here, especially as we are in Germany, is it's global and it's huge. These are the internet numbers, as measured by Comscore. They've been released, every month. And in March, there was a total audience of 1.5 billion almost people online. Yeah, this is the Comscore definition. That doesn't include kids, for instance. In the lifestyle category, what we are focusing on here, we have 578 million people. And these are the players, at Glam we have 212 million, Yahoo 79, and, then the list goes down. And there are many, many, in this list, but it's a really, huge reach, for all of those players, and it's huge revenue opportunity. And when we were putting together, talking about this talk here, we tried to summarize a little bit what's actually happening, what is the landscape, and that's also why we have the bloggers here speaking after me, as well as the other experts. And what you see here really is, on the one hand side, there's the blogger, and here we have the user. And, before the digital age, the blogger with his ideas and knowledge couldn't really meet the user because there was no way of bringing this match together to work. This was basically like a wall, and technology has brought down this wall, if you want. On the other hand, the blogger can basically produce content at no or very little cost, and via search and via social, they generate the traffic comes to them. So what is interesting now for bloggers or the creators is obviously also to make money. And one blog by itself, typically does not have the critical mass that it's like really attractive for a large premium brand, because they also need reach. So what Glam does is, we aggregate and structure, this fragmented internet world and make it accessible for advertisers. There are many, many advertisers, who want to reach many, many people at their passion point. And this is sort of the infrastructure that we are building, and this is sort of the overview of the passion ecosystem, how we also call it. As some takeaways here for you with your different backgrounds, for the creators, what does it really mean? I think, do it great and do a lot, so you simply generate more reach and gain more traction. You should do it also, consider doing it in, several languages. So if you do it in German at the moment, and you would just do the same thing in English, and unless the content is very specific to Germany, which in fashion actually is very often not the case, you can have maybe 10 times more traffic by just doing it in English, and it's not a lot of work really. And you interact in a much, and operate in a much more international and exciting community. You are basically already a global player, probably anyways, in a way, because you get traffic from all over the world. The question is just how much do you get? From a user point of view, and we're obviously all users, I guess technology offers us a lot of value and a lot of engagement by exploring, discovering, sharing, and simply enjoying, what we can do in the digital world. And this is really the opportunity for the advertisers at the end of the day, who can access, this huge audience at their passion point. And so advertisers are shifting more and more of their marketing dollars and advertising dollars towards this fragmented internet world that is floating. That's from my end. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, we can go on for the next speaker.